Well, hey folks, I'm using GIS and past behavior to predict where escape fugitive Danelo Cavalcante is heading next. Don't miss my thoughts on where and why I think he's doing what he's doing to evade police. Well, thanks for joining Profiling Evil on this special edition on the escaped killer fugitive Cavalcante, who's been on the run now for 9 days. I hope you're going to take a moment hitting that like and subscribe button and ring the bell, and please share us with all of your friends. Now, it's been 9 days since this convicted murderer crab walked up the walls of a Pennsylvania prison, walking away. Now there were 150 plus surveillance cameras that were watching the inmates, and miraculously, this guy evades all detection, except for the video that was later detected and released to the public, where it shows this guy crab walking up the prison walls. It came from inside the prison walls. Let's watch. Well, this vicious predator was spotted at least 8 times in the last 9 days, and I thought it might be helpful to put it all on a map and make things just a little easier for all of you to understand. Now, I think it's easier to understand from a geography standpoint as well as a practical point of view as we come to better understand the region, the challenges in this search, and most importantly, the challenges of terrain. Let's take a moment to explore some things on a map. On this map of the United States, just over on the eastern seaboard, you can kind of see below New York and Philadelphia is Chester County. So this is the area we're going to be focusing on as we look at this case. And here's what we know thus far. On August 31st, Cavalcante scaled a wall in the prison. How the prison didn't see him on CCTV is still troubling, and of course that will be a question that needs to be answered, and frankly how they allowed this to happen twice. Now, I understand that they put up a security system in place after the first escape, but it clearly wasn't adequate. You can see the prison, and it's pretty high, but yeah, the guy got out and he took off to the west. He was first spotted about 1.5 miles away from the prison, and on September 2nd, he was found in this area here. Now, again, you know, we kind of think, well, why can't they find him? Look at the terrain here, and even though there are a lot of homes in the area, this is really a relatively small place in the county. In fact, it's among the lowest population levels. I think in that entire sector that we're looking at in this thing, there are only about 3,000 people living. But again, look at these canyons and other areas that this guy could slip into. And keep in mind, this is a guy that grew up in Brazil, so he's pretty darn comfortable being out in the woods and doing things from what I've been able to read. And that's what's going to be really important, is his survival skills in this thing, because he's now gone 9 days on limited food, limited sleep, limited water. Of course, he's got tons of water around the area to drink, but how clean is it, and how good is his immune system? But 2 days after September 2nd, he was spotted at Longwood Gardens, this park area, and that prompted a first-time shutdown and now a permanent shutdown, because it appears that after September 4th, he made his way east again. So he's doing kind of a zigzag pattern that we're going to look at on a flat two-dimensional map in a minute. But he was seen over in this area where over Chandler Road and in this area. And again, man, keep in mind that this is an image when it's wintertime and you can see through the trees pretty easily. But imagine right now with thick growth, his ability to stay concealed is really good. And what the reports are suggesting now is that he then has headed back to the west, back to the area of Longwood Gardens again. So what is clear is from these spottings that he's traveling in kind of a zigzag pattern. And so I want to look at that on a little different map. So by looking at this map, we can see really his travel patterns. And what I've done is line of sight, because it's doubtful this guy's following roads. He's probably cutting through backyards, which is why we're seeing him picked up from time to time on CCTV cameras. But he goes from the county prison straight east, about 1.5 miles where he is recorded, and it's determined that it is actually him. From there, though, he travels in a southwesterly direction to the Longwood Gardens where he's spotted, then heads kind of north-northwest and is spotted September 5th up in this area of Chandler Road and Conestoga Court. From there, though, all indications are, by the mere fact that they've now closed down Longwood Gardens again, that he's made his way back into the Gardens area. So obviously was feeling more secure there than at other places. But the question becomes, is he going to continue this Z pattern, which would then take him down more close to the Hillendale Road area, the Mendenhall area, as he works his way out? And the reason why I say that is if we look at the demographics and the county population, we can see that it's a much more heavy population to the northeast. So it makes sense that he's heading south. Again, those southern areas, potentially 8,000 to the southwest, and where was last spotted, 3,000 people living within that area. So it makes pretty good sense that he's going to try to stay undetected and head in a direction that can help him be successful in getting away, which is really interesting, because then that makes me want to look at things like the parcel ownership, the property ownership in the area. So as we do that, what I've done is I brought in all of the home ownership and personal property ownership of different plots of land, so that you can see that, in my opinion, the places he's going to have the most success are going to be in these larger plots, not in these neighborhoods, although he has to go to the neighborhoods to get supplies if he's actually running low on food and other things, unless he burglarizes a business or something along those lines. So hopefully all of this is pretty helpful as you do your own crime sleuthing on where this guy is going. But I think he's probably going to head down here to the southeast, and I think he's going to take advantage of these open areas to make his way down, and we'll probably start seeing him in the Mendenhall area or somewhere else if he continues this pattern of zigzagging like we see here where he started. So it'll be interesting to see. We'll see if we're right, and this is another reason why geography can play such an important role in these kinds of investigations. But now let's go back and catch what I had to say on News Nation. Well, I joined my friend Phil Waters and News Nation to share some of my thoughts late last night on why this killer is still evading capture. Let's watch that.
Bring Mike King into our conversation, also remarkable homicide detective, creator and host of Profiling Evil on YouTube. Mike, can you hear me? Are you there?
I can, Ashley.
Okay, so give me your thoughts as we have this breaking news that he may actually be contained within about 1,000 acres, a place called Longwood Gardens. It's on lockdown, it's evac, and the cops are saying very little.
Yeah, well, I have to agree with Phil. It's great to be on with him. But here's the thing that I'm thinking, Ashley. Number one, this while it looks, when you look on an aerial map, as lots of open ground, there's also a lot of trees, a lot of rivers. I mean, Brandywine Creek, I think it is, to the east, and there's ponds and other places where this guy could conceal. The thing that's going to be in law enforcement's favor is the fact that we're 8 days in. He's not getting rest. He's not getting, hopefully not getting food. He's probably fatigued from the heat. and the stress of what's going on, and the dragnet has to just continue to tighten. But the challenge is, because of the dense foliage and everything else, this guy could be hiding in plain sight somewhere. What's clear to me, folks, is that Cavalcante could escape police, and it could take years to find this guy, if he's ever found. Now, he appears confident in the woods, and this is why it's so important that law enforcement get down to Brazil to find out everything they can about Cavalcante, what he was like down there. Is this a guy who can live off the land? Are there experiences that he had that would prove that? How did he get into the United States? Now, that's a question that I don't know that I know the answer to, and I haven't seen or read it anywhere. Did he illegally cross the border? And if so, he knows how to do it. Can he get back going the same way? This is where suspectology is so important. Now, you'll remember suspectology. It's the study of the suspect, and it's vitally important in trying to understand what this guy's next move is going to be. In fact, you might find it really interesting to go back and check out some of my past videos on past behavior as a predictor of future behavior. It really could be informative at this point. Well, last night with Ashley Banfield, we talked further about this issue on News Nation, and I wanted to just play that piece.
Well, that's the other thing. You know, Mike, they said that there's been some thought that the way he evaded authorities in Brazil was to sleep in the trees, that he has practiced the art of being out there. And I think of Eric Rudolph, and I think of all those who've been able to evade the Dannemora, pair that evaded authorities for days and days on end. And Eric Rudolph was 5 years living as a survivalist. Does that change? And Mike, just your thoughts about how it might change the strategy of tactical teams who have they've got a protocol, but then you're dealing with a guy like that. How do they be nimble? How do they change what they're doing to match what he's doing?
Yeah, I mean, they have to be looking into his background to see what his experiential level is in outdoor survival. If this is a kid raised down in Brazil and he's been used to going out in the woods and just surviving out there, he might have a hand up on many of the law enforcement folks, but he doesn't have a hand up on technology. So hopefully with infrared and other capabilities, we're seeing him captured on CCTV, and he's making mistakes like being in the house. And whether that was a level of arrogance or he was toying with people, I just can't figure out what on earth was going on with that weird communication going on in the house. But this guy is pretty darn comfortable. And as he's proven, he's nimble as can be. If he can scale a wall, he can climb a tree and hide in it.
Well, we also heard that he doesn't speak English. He's from Brazil. He speaks Portuguese. He has very little command of English. And maybe the flicking lights was the only thing he could say when, that's the communication that came from upstairs.
So in my mind, it boils down to a chess match on this one. A will of wills. There are some really competent manhunters out there, pros like the U.S. Marshal Service and many of local law enforcement. But make no mistake about it, Cavalcante has the upper hand on this one. Finding one human being who doesn't want to be found and who is, I believe, an expert in outdoor survival skills is going to be a Herculean task. As a closing thought, I want to just say, too, about this reward. I was glad to see the reward for this capture climb above the original $5,000 that was broadcast. That amount was almost comical to me. This guy doesn't have a support system that's hiding him. There's not going to be somebody that's motivated for $5,000. This guy is a killer on the lam, and anyone who sees him or even thinks that they see him are going to report him immediately to law enforcement. They don't need a reward to motivate him to get this guy. Cavalcante doesn't speak English, and his biggest goal is escaping the U.S., escaping Pennsylvania right now, but getting out of the country. That's my opinion. Now, it's great that the reward has risen to $20,000, but I don't think it's going to motivate anybody any different than the flat-out desire we all have to see this guy in custody. So my question is, what are your thoughts on this one, folks? I hope you'll take a moment and weigh in down below and make sure you're responding to each other's comments. I really want to know what your thoughts are. Do you think police are going to catch this fugitive killer in coming days? Or is this one going to slowly fade into the background of breaking news? Hey, thanks so much for supporting Profiling Evil and being part of our discussions. You can find Profiling Evil on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and of course here on YouTube. And I hope you're hitting that like and subscribe button over here. Please, folks, tell your friends about us. We really do appreciate it. And if you like podcasts, make sure you're checking out Profiling Evil podcasts on your favorite podcast platform. Hey, let's hope that this guy is captured and that family can rest in peace knowing that he will never see the light of day. But until then, keep your eye out and look for him. And remember, low risk will help you stay protected. Hey, we'll see you soon at the next crime scene.